Hello everyone, my name is Arthur Ross, I play the viola, and this is episode 16 of the Arthur Ross video podcast. Welcome. The purpose of the podcast is opening the door to the practice room. Here I show you the nitty-gritty, how the sausage is actually made, how an artist performer creates his performance. This time I want to work on the very first part of the Telemann Fantasy No.1 in E flat. Originally written for violin, but transcribed for viola. This is the second movement, the Allegro movement. Full disclosure, I have played this piece multiple times. It's been a while, so I'm sort of resurrecting it. And it has been uncomfortable to play every time. And I'm not certain why. So coming back to it now, it's not an impasse, but I'm a little bit at a loss of exactly what to do about this thing. So I'm gonna go through it in front of you here. Let me just play the first part, just the first little bit. Under tempo. A few things. First, I'm not certain how to mark the phrases, the musical sentences that I've talked about in other episodes. The interesting thing about Telemann, he's a Baroque composer, so he lived in the same time frame as Bach. The interesting thing about Telemann, as opposed to Bach, I would describe Bach as, first a genius, and I'm not the only person who thinks that. Everyone who knows his music thinks that was a genius writing. But there's something very serious, very profound about all of Bach's music, no matter what the style, no matter what the purpose. Sacred music, secular music, chamber music, choir, instrumental stuff, all of it was, there's a sense of seriousness about it. Telemann is very different. I believe just as much a genius, but there is a quirkiness, there is a lightness, there is a variety to Telemann's music that is very different than Bach, the music that you, when you think of Baroque music, the music that you normally hear. Telemann is very different. What I just played is maybe 3 phrases, but odd lengths, starting and stopping in odd ways. I'm not certain what to make of it. Well, I know what to make of it, but I'm not certain what to do about it. I'm rambling. I'm not sure I'm making sense here. The first part. Let me just do the first part again. Once again. Now that little bit is made up of, I guess we call it, it's counterpoint. The Essentially it's a measure and a half, and you have two lines, two musical melodies occurring at the same time, being played by the same instrument. So obviously that adds a level of difficulty. Trying to differentiate the two lines, although I'm playing them both at the same time. So, okay, there is this first line. That's it. Then it continues. So, now going with that, I'm adding notes on the top, another line that is happening at the same time as the bottom line, top line and bottom. Etc. So, I can't tell you how many times I've played that and how many different combinations, different bowings, different fingerings. So, on to what is probably the second phrase. Actually, this part. That little tag at the end, I'm not certain if it's a part of the phrase or if it's something separate, a sort of a bridge into the repetition of that kind of material. So, so what you have, as far as I can tell, you have a bit of melodic material, these sort of sweeps of notes up and down, back and forth. A counterpoint bridge into a shorter version of the back and forth sweeps of notes, but in the opposite direction. A repeat of that bridge that then cadences. As I said, quirky Telemann. On the page, this music looks extremely straightforward. Simple, actually, it looks. But I find it um, oddly challenging. I guess I don't really have much. It's funny. I don't have much to say about this except I'm confused. The next little bit. Once again. So, um, a series of 16th notes with a similar bowing pattern in essentially what's known as a sequence. It's a series of harmonies or a harmonic pattern. Harmony is well. Let's back up. Let me back up 2 steps. A melody is a series of notes that follows an artistic flow. Harmony are notes stacked on top of each other, played together. The focus of the harmony is the interplay of the notes, the blending of the notes. That's harmony. Harmonies can also have flow or patterns. So you have one harmony which follows another harmony which follows another one. You can do a certain kind of flow in patterns. That's a sequence. Okay. This section, let's complicate things a little bit. This section breaks down the harmony again, the harmonic patterns, breaks down the harmony into its component notes and then plays that as a melody. So you break down the harmonic patterns into single notes, which then continue to follow the harmonic pattern sequence. By the way, that bit is introduction of the kind of harmonic material you're about to have before the sequence begins. The sequence is same kinds of patterns following a harmonic flow. With an introduction of the kind of melodic material before it. Sequence. What occurs to me in this sequence material, you have different bowing patterns which make up the flow. You have a single note on a higher string followed by notes on a lower string. You have, by the way, when you play on the different strings of a string instrument, you are essentially playing on different planes. We call them string planes. When you're playing on the A string, top string of the viola, you're playing on one plane, or one turning this way. Your arm is in one position. When you go to the next string, to the D string, you're on a different plane from here to here. Different planes. So part of the work of this section is working out the movement between planes. So, okay, I think that's enough confusion for one day. Let me go through this one more time and see how this goes in front of you. Okay, the first little bit of the second movement, the allegro movement of the Telemann First Fantasy. Yeah, that's what I've got. So the work for me is figuring out how to approach this in a way that clears my confusion. I'm not certain if I've been crystal clear in this episode, probably as clear as mud. But the nitty gritty, opening the door to the practice room. So this has been episode 16 of the Arthur Ross video podcast. Thank you for watching. You can see this episode and all the other episodes on my website, arthurross.net. You can go to my YouTube channel, Arthur Ross Listening Laboratories, or to my Facebook page, the Arthur Ross Video Podcast. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.